Oh, we seem to have repaired ourselves for a while, and we're back. One thing, Mr. Ellington, you were quoted as saying at the White House, well, you quoted Billy Strayhorn, who died about a year ago and was your colleague. Could you do that thing for us?
It had to do with freedom.
Yes.
Yeah, well, the subject was, it just sprang from the Freedom Medal, which the president presented me with. And on the subject of freedom, by coincidence, there is a number in our sacred concert, which is called Freedom, and it's about 20 minutes long, and the big payoff statement at the end is when I say about the way Billy Strayhorn lived. Billy Strayhorn was my writing and arranging companion for 30 years, and I always say Billy Strayhorn lived with 4 major moral freedoms: freedom from hate unconditionally, freedom from self-pity, freedom from fear of possibly doing something that might help someone else more than with him, and freedom from the kind of pride that could make a man feel that he was better than his brother.
Very good.
Good.
Yes. That's it's better than something I'd ad-lib. Miss McCarthy, do you like Norman Mailer?
Yes, I do, and he has attacked me.
He did, didn't he?
Yes.
I saw that. I read a file of things about you, and he said something like, "When all is said and done, our Mary is a bit of a duncy broad." Do you remember that?
I didn't remember those words, thank God.
Those were the ones. What is a duncy broad, and would you have called him that if you had the chance? I mean, something similar? That was in a review of the group, I
yes,
think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I think that was a review that hurt me.
Did it?
The Mailer review, because some parts of it were so acute, and it was the most intelligent review of the group. I think almost every other one was stupid, both the favorable and the unfavorable. Almost everyone, and naturally, I hope that he was wrong in some things, but it was close enough to hurt. Yes.
Are you friends, though?
I wouldn't say we were friends, but we're not enemies.
You're not enemies.
In fact, I've been giving some lectures in Italy about modern American writers, and I decided to make Mailer the hero of this series of lectures, because I think he is the hero of the current American, well, not fiction anymore. These new things that he's written, which I like the best, the Armies of the Night and Miami and the Siege of Chicago, which I think is even better. And I think he's invented something new, some kind of new sort of epic. With these gigantic pop figures like Nixon and so on, and some not so pop, like Senator McCarthy. I think they're superb, and I think for language, he's the best writer we have.
Yeah.
I'm displaying one of those freedoms, I think.
Yes, I think you're right too. Truman Capote, is he as popular in Europe since in Cold Blood? He has had a great vogue in this country, and.
I don't know. I think the film perhaps had more of a vogue in Europe than the book. And not, certainly I don't think either as much as here. I didn't like the book at all, and I didn't see the film.
Yeah. What book would you recommend now? What's on your coffee table at home to get to when you're not working?
Jude the Obscure.
Oh, did that just come out? Do you read anything current, though?
I'm trying to think of a current novel that I think those things of Mailer's. My God, I can't think of anything more recent that I've been reading, but I've been writing something. An essay about nature, the last essay in this book. And I've been rereading the Romantic poets and rereading people like Hardy and rereading Dostoevsky's The Possessed, so that I'm not very current. Oh, well, a modern French novel that I just reviewed, which is again in this book, a book by Nathalie Sarraute called Between Life and Death. I give a very strong endorsement.
Yeah, you did review that in the New York Review, I think. Yeah. I don't know if it... Oh, should we have another go at this? Had it on the third time that time.
Thank you.
I don't know if you are as comfortable talking on television as you are in print about certain things, but I read Memories of a Catholic Girlhood just recently, and at the end of it was a very dramatic moment at the end of the, I believe it's the end of the preface. In the book, you talk about the time when you pretended to have lost your faith, and then later actually did. And in the end of this preface, you say that you, when you die, you will not recite acts of contrition or call for a priest, and that you cannot respect a God who would endanger your soul in order that you make a deal with him. You said something like, if there is such a God, it's unfortunate, and I would not want to spend eternity in the company of such a person. Is that roughly?
Very well quoted, yes.
Do you still feel this way?
Yes. I don't believe in God. I'm conscious more, perhaps it's getting older, perhaps it's things that have been happening. I'm conscious more of having been formed as a Christian. But this is completely apart from a belief in God. I'm conscious more now than I was of having been formed as a Christian. But it has really, I know this is the way I am, and that in some ways that my ethic can't completely change from this without my just falling to pieces.
Sometimes people have said in your work that whether you know it or not, you still have a preoccupation with God, and that you demonstrate this unconsciously. Do you reject this?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think I'm rather interested in theology and so on, but I simply don't believe in God. And I don't believe in a hereafter, and it just doesn't exist. I believe in realms of abstraction and Platonic ideas, let's say. That is, for example, that justice is not the same as all just acts, that there is a principle beyond the whole totality of just acts, etc. But I don't believe in a supreme being, no.
Mr. Ellington, you write sacred music, and I would assume that you have a religious background.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Are you a member of any...
Of a church? No,
church?
I think I'm an ecumenicalist.
Are you?
Yeah, I was raised in a Baptist and Methodist church, and, well, I read the Bible 4 times through when I was about 25 years old. And what I learned then was, or I began to understand was what I had learned when I was educated. It brings you up to date on everything, you know. There's nothing new or anything. It's just the same thing over and over and over again. And then we started to, I was invited to do a sacred concert originally at Grace Cathedral in San Francisco in 1965, yes. And we've done 2 now, 2 different ones.
So religion is part of your work as well as your life?
No, it's not. I don't call the sacred concerts part of my career at all. It's a form of worship.
Oh, I see. Make that distinction.
Because we actually use the choir in whatever church or cathedral we're playing in, and sometimes we use 4 choirs and about 6, 7 principals, singers, dancers, the band, and of course when we have a record, we split the royalties up about 6 or 7 churches and so on.
Is marijuana sweeping Paris as it has this country?
Quite a shift.
Well, it's a graceful change of subject, isn't it?
No, I don't think so. I think there's very little drug taking, as far as I know, in Paris. There are almost no hippies. You have to look for them to find them, which is something rather different.
Yes,
they tell you they're on a certain street, and you go there to look if you're curious, and then they aren't there.
You have to get a hippie map of Paris.
Yes. There are, of course, some, but most of them are foreign hippies. The French are very conservative, and French young people are very conservative. And I don't mean conservative politically, but they're conservative about dress. They don't drink much, by the way, and most of them, a few take drugs.
Do you find that among your own friends, I don't want you to condemn anyone publicly, but I mean of committing a felony, but among your own friends, is there an interest in marijuana?
Well, no. I haven't a single friend in Paris, whether you mean French or...
I meant French.
No, who takes drugs. Or my friends' children don't take drugs, and they tend to be politically radical and tend to be Maoists. I'm talking about the children now. And this involves something very strict, as it does here in the sort of split off from SDS, the Progressive Labor Party. They are against long hair and beads and the works, and they want to make a bridge to the workers. But it's the same with the Maoists in France, and I don't think they would take drugs.
Do they drink?
Not much.
Yeah.
They smoke.
I think champagne is better than marijuana, in answer to the people who've been writing in and asking what I think about it. The reason being that you can't drink marijuana out of a slipper. It's a feeble joke that I've been trying to get in for about a week. Mr. Ellington, could you grace us by playing us off in your inimitable manner? I'm not entirely sure where we are or what day this is, so I will say out quickly, thank you, Mary McCarthy, thank you, Duke Ellington, and whenever this show is on, we'll see you the next time we're on. And say hello to Mrs. Pirandello. We'll be back after this message.